Do you still have anxiety even after having done therapy? If yes, it's probably because your therapist only fixed half the problem. See, anxiety isn't random, it actually follows a formula with two variables. And therapy only teaches you how to fix one of the variables, and it misses the other one, which is why you're still anxious. So today I'm going to show you the complete anxiety formula with both variables so you can finally properly fix your anxious mind. And you'll receive two practical methods to do so. Before we dive in, hit subscribe. My name's Henry and I help men go from anxious to confident using self-help tools. Let's go. All right, here's the formula. Anxiety equals outcome attachment, which is variable 1, plus false weakness, which is variable 2. These are the two variables, both of which need to be fixed. If you miss one, you'll stay anxious. Most therapists only focus on the first variable, outcome attachment, which is a good first start, but it's incomplete. So let me break down both variables for you and show you exactly how to fix them. Variable 1, outcome attachment. Outcome attachment is when you're attached to a certain future outcome. You feel like you need something to go a certain way, but you know there's a chance it won't. Thus, anxiety pops up. Example, you have to give a presentation at work. You're anxious because you're attached to the future outcome of the presentation going well. So the combination of I need the presentation to go well with it could go wrong, that is what's causing the anxiety. Here's another example. You want to ask a woman out on a date, but you're terrified of being rejected by her. So in other words, you're attached to her saying yes to you, but you know she could reject you, so you feel anxious. Here's the thing though, you can't control outcomes. You never could, but your mind is still trying to control them anyhow, and that creates anxiety. So how do you fix it? You practice a method which I call outcome detachment, which involves letting go of the attachment and realizing you'll survive even if you don't get your desired outcome. Now, I've spent years experimenting with different methods to fix anxiety. I've tried journaling, meditation, breathing exercises, cognitive reframing, you name it. But this exercise, outcome detachment, works faster and more effectively than anything else I've tried. It only takes about 2 minutes and it reduces anxiety on the spot. Like I've used it everywhere, before presentations, at social events, before difficult conversations. For example, I was recently at a birthday party where I was dancing and my anxiety kicked in. I was on the dance floor and I was thinking, what are people thinking of me? Do they think I'm weird the way I'm dancing? So I was attached to the outcome of looking cool. So I did the outcome detachment exercise right there on the dance floor whilst I was dancing and moving, but just doing it in my mind. And then 2 minutes later, that anxiety drops. I let go of needing to look cool and I ended up dancing like crazy for 3 to 4 hours in total bliss. It was awesome. That's the power of this exercise. Now, explaining the exercise in this video would take a bit too long, so I put it in a free 2-minute document you can download in the description and access anytime you want. Now, you might be thinking, I've tried anxiety exercises before, breathing techniques, meditation apps, all of it, and I get it, but this method is different. See, most anxiety exercises tell you to calm down and distract yourself from the thing that's making you anxious, and this anxiety exercise doesn't do that. It actually targets the root, the outcome attachment itself. So it's a 2-minute protocol designed specifically for analytical minds who overthink but can let go of the attachment, and it works therefore with your brain and not against it, not trying to distract you or anything. Download it and see for yourself. Use it before the next anxiety-inducing situation you have coming up, like the next presentation or date you're gonna go on. You'll feel the difference immediately. Okay, let's move on. Here's where most people get stuck, including therapists. Now let's look at variable 2, which is false weakness. This is the variable which most therapists miss, and it's the reason why their clients don't fix their anxiety, including you. Here's what false weakness is. It's the anxious voice in your head that says, I can't handle having a blackout during my presentation, or I can't handle being rejected by a woman. I'm too weak. The world is big and scary and I am small and helpless. That voice is claiming you're weak, and it is lying to you. This false weakness is a trained pattern from childhood. When you were a kid, acting small and weak was a strategy. It helped you avoid danger. You acted weak to avoid having to go to school on presentation day, for example. You shrank to stay safe, and it worked as a kid. But now you're an adult, you're not a kid anymore, so you actually can handle these things you used to be afraid of. But this voice is stuck in the past, telling you you're still too weak, so therefore it's lying to you. And here's the interesting connection between the two variables, outcome attachment and false weakness. If you feel weak inside, which is variable 2, you're going to be in outcome attachment mode all the time, which is variable 1, because everything feels threatening to you. So you always need security. You're always attached to creating safety for yourself. So how do you fix this false weakness? You can't fix it just by letting go, which is outcome detachment, variable 1. You fix it by doing the opposite, by building strength and agency. You prove to yourself that you can take action, that you do have power. This fixes false weakness because when you prove to yourself that you actually can take action and exert power and confidence in your environment, the voice which says, I am weak, will no longer be able to seduce you into believing that you are actually weak. Because you'll start to realize, hold on, I've done so much awesome stuff in my life. I have loads of evidence now that I am strong. Deep down, I know I am not weak. That old voice can't convince me anymore. Outcome, the false weakness stops and your anxiety drops. Now I'm going to give you one method here. It's called Say No, and it helps you overcome false weakness. But I want to be honest with you here. Fixing false weakness is deeper work than just fixing outcome attachments. Why? Because this false weakness voice has been running your life for decades, so it's wired into your nervous system. It shows up in how you walk, how you talk, how you show up in relationships, and at work. You can't really fix that with just one YouTube video. The guys I work with in my coaching practice, we spend weeks dismantling this false weakness. We use several methods. Some are mental, some are physical, some are relational, and we rebuild their sense of strength from the ground up. And the transformation is massive, because when you fix false weakness, you don't just fix anxiety, you fix your entire life, your confidence, your relationships, your career, everything shifts. But let me give you the first step, the Say No method. Step 1, notice when the false weakness comes online. It's whenever you suddenly get anxious, you suddenly start doubting yourself, you start to feel passive, shy, probably even lethargic. That's when it comes online. Notice that. Step 2, say no to the voice. Say no to the anxiety, to the passiveness, to the shyness. Step 3, repeat in your mind, I am strong. I am strong. I've handled harder things than this. Repeat that, repeat that, repeat that. When you do this, you're loosening the grip of that false weakness. You're detaching from it. And then this is key. You use that strength which is now there to take action. Here's an example. Let's say you have that presentation and you're afraid of having a blackout. Say no to that false weakness and then practice something funny you could say if you did have a blackout, like a joke you could pull or a funny comment, and approach it like it's no big deal. Own it. Or if you're going out on a date and you're anxious, say no to the false weakness. Then shift your focus. What do you care about in a woman? What are you looking for? So act like you're the buyer and she needs to impress you, not the other way around. So let go of the false weakness. See the shift? You're approaching with strength and agency, not weakness. So practice this. Notice the false weakness, say no to it, activate your strength, and take action. This method may sound a bit harsh because you're telling the voice in your head to move aside. But you see, this is what therapy often gets wrong. Many therapeutic approaches focus heavily on understanding and being compassionate towards the weak voice in your mind, which is important and good, but without strength, something is missing in your life. And unless you tell that voice to sometimes move aside, it will control your life and the anxiety will stick, which is why you're still anxious. So this is the starting point. If you want structured guidance on rewiring your mind at a deeper level, that's what I help men do in my coaching practice. Now I'm going to tell you a quick example about Victor, who is somebody who worked with me and overcame his false weakness. He is a software engineer who came to me for coaching. He was an analytical guy, smart, but very introverted and shy, and he was crippled by his social anxiety. He stopped going to social events because his anxiety was too uncomfortable for him to handle. So he became quite lonely, withdrawn from life, and he had tried therapy, but it didn't work. Now, before we worked together, Victor's core beliefs were, I am not a strong, confident man, and I'm not worthy of love. And I asked him on a scale of 1 to 10, how masculine do you feel? And he said a 4 out of 10, so not very masculine. All of this was his false weakness talking. In our 12 weeks of working together, we didn't just do outcome detachment exercises, we went deep into the false weakness beliefs and shifted those from anxious to confident. We used methods which really rewire how you see yourself. We worked on his body language, his voice, how he shows up in the room, handles conflict, and how he approaches women. So all of it. And after just 12 weeks, Victor's new beliefs were, I have a masculine, aggressive side I can tap into. I'm capable of facing my fears. I have more confidence when approaching women. And after the 12 weeks, I asked him again, on a scale of 1 to 10, how masculine do you feel? And he said an 8 out of 10. So before he was at a 4 out of 10, afterwards an 8 out of 10. That is an enormous shift in his sense of identity and his confidence. So what changed with Victor? He started approaching women again. He started going on dates. He started hanging out with friends again. His social life came alive. He started chatting with random people on the street. Really awesome. But here's what he told me was the biggest shift. He said, I don't feel small anymore. I feel like I can handle whatever life throws at me. That is what it looks like when you overcome the false weakness. So this was the big transformation, and it all came from understanding and fixing those both variables in the anxiety formula: outcome detachment and false weakness. If you want that same transformation and you're tired of feeling anxious and you're ready to become the strong, confident version of yourself, I offer free clarity calls. We'll talk about where you're at, where you want to be, and whether my coaching approach is the right fit for you. Link is in the description. Okay, let's recap the anxiety formula. Variable 1 was outcome detachment. You can fix it by letting go of the attachment via outcome detachment. You can learn how to do that by downloading the exercise below. Variable 2 was false weakness. Fix it by saying no to that voice and build strength and take action and build your agency. Now, outcome detachment and saying no are just the first steps. There are many deeper methods I teach in my coaching practice. Within 12 weeks, all of my clients have major shifts in their anxiety, just like Victor. And look, maybe you're thinking, I can figure this out by myself with the free exercise. And if outcome detachment by itself fixes your anxiety, amazing. But if you're still feeling anxious after using that exercise, if you still feel small and weak inside, that's that false weakness that's getting to you. And you can't really fix that alone with a YouTube video. That's what the coaching is for. And if you're thinking, I'm not ready for that coaching, here's the truth. The clarity call is just a conversation. No pressure, no commitment. We talk about where you're at, where you want to be, and whether this is a good fit. Worst case, you get a free clarity call to fix your anxiety. Best case, you're 12 weeks away from feeling the most strength and confidence you've probably felt in years. So don't forget to download the outcome detachment exercise for free. It reduces anxiety in 2 minutes, link below. If this video was valuable to you, hit subscribe and send this video to anybody you know who is also struggling with anxiety. They'll thank you for it. Remember the anxiety formula. Fix both variables and you'll finally be free. I'll see you in the next video.